Hey everybody, good Tuesday morning. It's a rainy day in Georgia. Such a rain. It's cold and rainy and gray here this morning in Atlanta. The way February should be. Good morning everybody. Wake up. Get up. Don't make me come over and get a hickory to you. Get on up and let's get this day going. Quit all that foolishness you've been doing. Ain't I wired up this morning? Got this I guess this coffee's done. Caffeine done got me caffeinated, y'all. The Morning Post this morning. I went by and saw my cousin Danny yesterday. I didn't call ahead. I just showed up and knocked on the door like people used to do in the old days. For years, we lived across the street from each other over on Dobbs Drive, down from the Starlight Drive-In in Moreland. It's raining, y'all. I can hear it just coming down outside. What a wonderful day. A rainy day in Georgia. He was glad to see me. Oh, it's coming down harder and harder. It had been maybe a year since I last stopped by. He lives alone now since his wife Joan crossed over, maybe about 3 years ago. It still seems odd to stop by and Joan not be there. Danny was the cousin that was maybe 3 years older than me and the rest of us. Tommy, David, Terry, and myself. We always looked up to Danny, kind of like he was the big brother of the group. He always had an odd, quirky personality, but so do I, and so did Tommy and David and Terry Lee. I think it is the Bratcher in all of us. Granddaddy Bratcher was an odd, quirky personality type man. Granny Bratcher, not so much. She was a Brown. The Browns were a stoic, classy bunch, upright people. Granddaddy was not. He would sleep with the preacher's wife and then beat the shit out of you if you didn't like it. I think a lot of us have a little bit of Brown in us, but also that Bratcher can come out at any moment. One time when I was around 12, I went to Sunday church at the Salvation Army Church down on Carroll Street in Cabbagetown. Danny and I both were living with Granny at 180 Powell Street then. Danny had a pretty rough childhood himself. I told Danny that they took up a huge offering, and I saw where they put that offering plate under that podium in a special little place in the bottom of it. That night we broke into that church and stole that offering. It was a total of $3 and some change. I said, "Well, Danny, it looked like a lot of money to me." He had an old, I think it was a 57 Ford then, parked on Powell Street. We drove at 3 in the morning over to the Crystal on Moreland Avenue and spent it all on crystals. You could get a lot of crystals for $3 back then. Years later, when I would tell that story in revivals, Danny would say, "Eddie, I wish you wouldn't tell that story. We almost went into a life of crime," I would say, "but look what Jesus can do." Oh my goodness. Have you ever had people that just lifted you up? Danny always has done that for me. He told me yesterday, "Eddie, you have always been so good to me and my family." I told him, "Danny, that is a two-way street. You and Joan were always good to me. And my God, y'all put $1 gazillion in the ministry over all those years. And the two of you were at every service." I told him, that meant a lot to me back then. Just really meant a lot to me. It was easier for me to preach with my cousin Danny sitting there in the congregation. No matter what you did, you could never do wrong in their eyes. Whatever you say, you know. Another time we broke into Poole's record store next to Little's down on Carroll Street, and we took 5 or 6 record players and put them under Mr. Dalton's house on Savannah Street until we could figure out how to get rid of them. They finally found them under Mr. Dalton's house and had thought Mr. Dalton had stole them record players. Me and Danny never whispered a word. Danny and I had some secrets. Just look at God. We went from stealing from the church to leading a church and spending years pastoring a church and working in ministry. People in the South are weird. Oh my God, they are. You laugh when I say that because you know it's true. People in the South are just weird. He misses Joan terribly. We talked about that. he would like to go home, and I'd like to stay here as long as I can, I told him. I don't have anybody on the other side waiting that I would give up this life here for, yet. I have known other people throughout my life that had a longing to go. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm sure if I live long enough, I too one day will kind of want to go. It does seem odd to see the old man Danny, and yet I still see the young, handsome Danny behind all that aging. He still has that odd, quirky personality and can make you laugh pretty easily with his dry, sarcastic humor. Joan had a kind of a funny humor, too. She'd always make me giggle. Good Tuesday morning, sweet people. It is a cold, rainy day here in Atlanta. My thankfulness this morning. I am thankful that in this life, I have had good cousins. Danny, David, Sonny, Annette, Jimmy, Bobby, Richard, Tommy, Terry Lee, Connie, brother, Elaine and Patricia. I love my cousins Elaine and Patricia. A lot of these cousins are gone now. They were the salt of my life. They seasoned life in a special way for me. When I think of all of my big family, all of them, it was my cousins that I loved the most. We were just like a secret tribe, like no other tribe on earth. The picture over on my Facebook page, and I'll tag Facebook down here at the bottom of this, or Instagram. Some of you, come on over. We still don't know what TikTok's up to. I'm also on Blue Sky and YouTube. Good morning, everybody. The picture over on Facebook, maybe 5 years ago. The two on the right, Aaron, my Uncle Aaron, and Steve Smith, have since passed since this picture, have crossed over. Danny is sitting down in the middle with his guitar. My cousin Tommy is standing next to me in the picture. And David Henry is standing on the end. David has always been so sweet to all of us. He has always been like family, too. Love y'all. See y'all.